So, yeah, it's been a while since I did a Glyos recap, and I do apologize to that for the people who picked up on the series and the toy lines after I spent all that time introducing it to you. Kind of got away from me. I mean, I had Toycember in April, and that took up a ton of time. I really didn't want to clutter it up any more than I had already. And then in May, everything kind of like exploded. I mean, we got so much going on in Glyos that it got really, really hard to keep up with. So, sorry. I'm going to take you through kind of a highlight reel of what has been coming out, because pretty much every producer has had something come out recently, and I don't even have all of it here. First off, though, something I've kind of been getting into just as I'm bored and I kind of want to take my mind off things type project. I've been taking a lot of the spare ones I've gotten and giving them some of my own paint jobs. Like, you remember the Rise of the Beast figures that got to be the late entry to Glyos 101? Well, I took that blank green one and made this little dude, who is a little bit Beast Wars Rhinox, but still keeping to that toy line spirit of a little bit more realistic in coloring. I'm actually quite proud of this because there's so many like super tiny details on here that I managed to paint successfully. And this is like one of the smaller of Glyos toys. So this I'm quite happy with as a first effort for, well, anything custom. But it is not my masterpiece. It's my masterpiece, this beauty. This guy started out life as a completely different toy, done up in multiple shades of brown, none of which are visible anymore. I've always been salty since I was a kid, that Dinosaucers never got any toys in the U.S. They only got toys in Brazil, and they're like super, ultra, uber rare. So I took one of the new Armorvores with its Neo-Granthon kind of saurian head, and I did up my own Allo. And I'm quite happy with how it came out. It actually works pretty well with Allo's design and shape, and I'm quite proud of getting the Dinosaurs logo on there without messing it up too bad. It's off center, but beyond that, like, I'm thrilled with how this came out. Really, really happy with it. And it's very cool to not only own a one of a kind toy, but also something you created yourself. And I'm just gonna put it on my desk, and I'll put Rhinox over there too, just so I don't mess them up shuffling around actual Glyos toys here. So just a little bit of showing off out of the way. If you haven't kept up with Glyos in the last few months, here is what you have missed. And we are going to start with my buddy Nee over at 481 Studios, 481 Universe. Sorry. It's getting late. I've recorded a ton of videos today. The guy has gone out of his way to create a bunch of new parts. Like, there's a whole new pack full of accessories, including this little crystalline sword thing, as well as a bunch of new head options. Here's an alien one, and here is his bunny head done up in PVC. He normally does these in resin, and they sell out very fast, but now it's in full production PVC. It's very easy to and affordable to buy, and easy to customize. This one's going to be Bucky O'Hare one day, just as soon as I'm a little bit more confident with my abilities, and I can bother to go pick up some primer for the clear stuff. So I'm really happy to see he's kind of expanding out and creating some new molds and getting some added parts, because one of the nice things is just how many parts that he offers up to go along with his Outlanders. And the customizing is fine, but I'm really, really looking forward to seeing how those look in like some actual production colors. And of course, he's done a ton of customs since my last little recap. I haven't been able to buy any of those. I'm all hands on deck money-wise for MetroCon. Weaponeers finally had a new drop of characters. Here we have the granite-themed Paladar. He's the last one to get any kind of new figure, which is long awaited, but it's actually kind of pretty cool because he's not like that nice iron gray color he normally is. He's granite, he's definitely some kind of rock of some kind, and he's not yet the proud general he will one day be. But it's a really neat looking toy, and this is like really old school gray plastic, which I kind of like. Weaponeers, as I said, for beginners, extremely good, as they are very large for the price. They are very solid and very, very friendly to build with since it's all 45-degree angles on everything, and there's so many extra holes for creating your own builds and customs. There's a bunch of weaponeers up in their store now, so you've got a bunch of variety, including ones that look like Skeletor and He-Man, which is kind of funky. Speaking of, the God Beast has been up to his homaging tricks again. This was the most popular one, though. This is our Hunter Mushi, which is, of course, done up as Boba Fett. Ton of paint going into this. I didn't even realize the mold and the paint apps could break down this way, but it's a very cool release. And this was like one of 3 homage releases he did during that drop. You could also get, and I think there's some of them might still be available in the store, a Skeletor and a Hordak, which also look really cool. But I'd show you, but I'm trying to condense this down as much as I can because there's still so much. There's still a lot to go through here. I miss so much. But they were some extremely cool homages. Though I will be honest, like, as much as I like the homage releases for Kabuto Mushi, I really kind of miss when they were doing just plain old colorways. And because those are more fun to build with, especially if they're in colors that have been released in other lines recently. And I don't know, I kind of prefer them forging their own identity. That said, they did release something very special. This is a Hornet Mushi. This was a C2E2 exclusive, and if you didn't go to that show, you had to contact the right people in order to get one. Extremely cool release. Now, it's expensive because there's so many parts. Because you got these gigantic wings, blades, and these aren't even all the parts. I had to put a lot of them away. But you can see, it's actually an obscure toy homage. I can't remember exactly what it was offhand, but you can see the homage isn't so well known that it overrides just the fact that it's a cool looking Kabuto Mushi. And what's really cool about the set is, aside from just, the Mushi from the God Beast, you also have all these translucent purple parts, which are all Weaponeer and Spy Monkey pieces. And then there's these axis joints, which I've loaded up on this guy so his articulation is maxed out. These are from Onell, of course. So there's 3 different Glyos producers going into this one release, and it's really cool. It's really cool to see it all come together. One package gets you so much to build and play with. There's so much variation to this guy. Really, really cool release. I'm not sure if I'm going to be eager to buy another one because it's like $25 for the whole thing, but it was a really cool for a specialty thing. And then we get to Onell, and oh my god, Onell has been going nuts lately. A while back, a couple waves back actually, they introduced an ultra bronze color that just kind of took off and caught fire. But it wasn't so much that they made ultra bronze toys of all the standard figures. They all look beautiful. Go take a look at some archives because I could parade them onto the camera all day. But it's also the fact that the ones that they released in the ultra bronze, for instance, the Goban came back. Goban has been absent for like a year, and now the mold is returned, and it's a mold that works so well in that in those metallic colors. That ultra bronze gives him kind of a clockwork robot look, kind of an ancient machine. It looks so good on him. It looked good on so many of the ones they released, but I really think this one stood out. Not only because it's been so long since the mold came around, but it just really works for him. It gives him this, he looks like a giant bell. I love it. So it was really, really nice to see him make a return. The same drop also had something extremely special. A RoboForce release. This is a configuration they were saving for an eventual Onell release of the RoboForce mold, and is a very cool design, very different from your standard, Max Zeros and whatnot. So it actually does come across very different, even though it's clearly from that line. And I don't think RoboForce collectors were prepared for the madness that is Onell Drop Night, because this thing sold out super fast and a lot of people were not happy about it. And I'm sorry guys, but that's the way it works. He can only make so many of them, and re-releasing them runs too much of a risk and damages the value of the ones that are out there. So that's it's just a toy, people. Like, it's cool if you got it, but don't start fires and tip cars just because you didn't get your piece of plastic. I really like how he looks, though. I like the new configuration, and the Ultra Bronze works extremely well on him in this robotic shape. Again, more of a clockwork feel. I love it. He's also been going nuts on those skeletons. Okay, the skeletons are going to drive me into bankruptcy because they're so freaking cool. I'll go ahead and show you this one. This is the Slayer skeleton, looking absolutely epic. I love the asymmetrical design. I love bone arm. If you haven't looked into these before, what's going on here is they've taken a standard Faden, just your normal everyday $8 traveler, and loaded him down with this bone armor. They've replaced a few of his parts, given him a new head with a partial paint job, and the rest is clip-on armor, giving him a much beefier look, very layered look, and an accessory axe, which is very, very rare for a Glyos toy to have accessories like that. It looks extremely cool. And this gunmetal gray just took everyone by storm. Everyone's loving this gunmetal. And apparently, Onell really likes it too, because they went and did this guy too. I want to say this was Docurious. Matt comes up with such weird names. He comes up with really weird names for his colorways, so I can't keep track of them all. What I know is this guy was a surprise on drop night, and man, was he popular. And deservedly so. The gunmetal gray works brilliantly for the armor, and I love the fact that they didn't paint the head. I've had so much fun swapping this armor onto my other Fadens and Travelers just to see how the gunmetal worked on other colors. It works well on just about everything. It's extremely cool. Very happy with it. Like, the skeletons just in general have been like really, really cool toys just to play with, because you get the normal Faden, you get the armor too, and the armor works on any of the Traveler molds. It works on other molds from Onell too. It's extremely cool. It adds an extra level of play value to these things, and it's just fun to mix the colors around, see what you can come up with. And speaking of the gunmetal, that brings us to our Armorvore. This is one of the most gorgeous Armorvores I've seen in a long time. Really, really big fan of this. Nice bright red, the pale orange, or pale gold, I'm sorry. And yeah, that gunmetal, that just works so well. Now, the thing about these is ever since Matt started releasing these as Neo-Granthans with that Saurian head, I've noticed they've been hanging around the shop a lot longer than they normally do. Armorvores used to be like sellouts when it had the wolf head, but now now they kind of sit around, and there's nothing bad about that. That's a nice thing, because most of the time on these recap videos, like, I can show you these things, but a lot of them sold out on drop night. The RoboForce sold out in less than 2 minutes. Like, there's no good, if I tell you about that 3 weeks later, there's no real benefit to it. If you're watching this video when it's new, though, I am aware that there are more of these available in the store at Onell Design right now if you want to try it out and give Glyos a try with something that looks exceptionally cool. And I believe most of the Neo-Granthans are actually up in the store still. They've been slow movers because a lot of the Armorvore fans are really longing to get that wolf head back. I think it turned a lot of people away from the newer releases. I think it would go better if they actually were depicted in the gallery or in the shop with the standard head. instead of the Neo-Grantham head, because I think some people get the idea that this head isn't included anymore. It is, and it still looks really, really good. And failing that, I don't know, maybe they should have just left the wolf head in as an option and charged an extra $1. I don't know. Either way, the armorvores are much easier to get than they used to, and it's a great little introduction piece for Onell. And something really special came out in the last couple months, and I really need to show it to you guys, and this one's going to take a bit of explaining. Meet the Crossborg. This is a Stryker lock figure. This is a brand new series for Onell. They've been released in Japan before. This and its companion figure Mohawk. But this is the first American release of the figure. And it's so nice. This also sold out ridiculously fast. This was up in the shop for like 30 seconds. And they just evaporated. Like that, and that was another night of just a lot of butt hurts. Like, I wanted the toy. I wanted the toy. Why don't you make more? Why do you intentionally make us cry, Matt, by releasing a new toy that you have no idea how well it's going to do, so you have to limit how many you can order? Huh? How dare you? How dare you be business-minded and cautious when it comes to a brand new product? But yeah, you can see it's quite a bit bigger than your standard Onell releases. That said, you can see in my hand, he's not all that big. Maybe like a little. I'm trying to think. Like maybe, I don't know, maybe a little bit taller than like a standard G.I. Joe or Marvel Universe. Like, he is not big. This is a $30 piece for as small as it is. And he doesn't do a whole lot. He's got your standard, rotation, things like that. But here's what you have to understand about this and any of the future Stryker lock releases. Now, typically a vinyl toy, especially the ones you see over on Onell, your Super Craboths, your Rigs, they're created in China and they are rotocast, which means they inject the plastic into the mold, they spin the mold so it creates a even coating all the way around the mold, and then when it cools, they open it up and they get a very hollow piece of plastic that still holds its shape. And that's how you get your big hollow vinyl toys. But they have kind of a rough texture to them because it's all machine processed, and that's just the nature of how how that molding and how that casting process works. This is Japanese vinyl, and this is made the old-fashioned way. This is hand-poured, hand-molded, and pulled from the mold by hand. Nothing but a glove and a pair of pliers. It is hand-assembled, hand-painted. Everything is done the old-fashioned way. There is genuine artisanship going into these toys. And if you've never felt a Japanese vinyl toy, that's how you'll be able to tell the difference between Japanese vinyl and Chinese vinyl. Because this is like silky smooth to the touch. It is, and it feels so much better. Like it's an intangible on camera. On camera, I cannot show you why this is so much better than your standard vinyl toy, but it is, trust me. And the fact that you can get it in America without importing costs, that made it even better. But it also means they are expensive to produce, they take a long time, and Matt had no idea there would be such a demand. And they can only make so many at once because it's one guy making them by hand. That said, this thing pops up on eBay for mad money. Do not pay that. Onell is making more. I don't know when, but he has promised there will be more Stryker lock figures released. And for those who are like who did manage to get one of these and goes, "Oh no, collector value, I don't want mine ruined." These were already released in Japan a while back. There's already no extra collector value there. Just be happy you got it because it's a really cool new approach and a new cool design from Onell, and I can't wait to see what other figures come out in this series. But yeah, that's pretty much the long and short of it. Ton of stuff. I will tell you the bronze drop. Man, I could spend another 20 minutes just telling you all the stuff that came out in that drop alone because that's the most money I've ever spent on a single Onell wave. But it's a busy time. Like, man, so much is coming out right now. Onell's got a drop coming out this month. And I've seen one picture. There's like one picture released of what is coming out. And I think we're going to get a lot more of this gunmetal. I think we're going to get a lot more. My wall is very concerned about that right now. And I'm sure we'll get more skeletons because there have been skeletons in every drop since those debuted. There's new Kabuto Mushis coming out, including one in the Ultra Bronze. They've already shown that off if you know where to look. And the Weaponeers are planning a drop that they think is the best looking drop of toys they've ever had. And then more is coming out. Because sometime soon, there is a brand new Glyos company called Nemo's Factory that's starting up a brand new Glyos line. And I'm really looking forward to it because I love the design of it. I've already got a couple of them ordered. And I'll tell you this, when I get back from MetroCon, I'm going to make a random review for the Nemo's Factory figure because I'm that excited for it. I think it's that cool. It is going to be my first random review that is not a Transformer. So we'll start to work a little bit of variety in every now and then. For my non-Glyos fans, well, number one, why are you watching this? But I am kind of sorry. Like, I kind of wish I had, like, a common writer or something for you, but I really want to talk about that toy because it's going to look so cool. But, yeah. That's just a small sampling of all the Glyos that's come out in the last few months. I will try to be more prompt about these, and I'll try to get them out monthly, just to keep up pace and be a little bit more relevant. But for now, if this doesn't inspire you to take a look at what has been going around in Glyos, who knows? Something next month might pique your interest too. You know, if there are people watching the channel who have been really enjoying this stuff, so I will keep doing it because I really enjoy it too.